What is up, my peoples? All my brothers from another mother and sisters from another mister. We're back here, the Kal Skirata build. So I got some Velcro in. Good news, bad news. I ordered the wrong kind of skinny Velcro. Bad news, good news. I just double it up and it's the same. So got a little bit of Velcro application to do on the leather vest, and then I'm gonna do some work on the gauntlets. So I've gotten the hinges on the gauntlets. So hinge one. This one actually needs to dry a little more, so let me get that. Just glued the second part this morning, and it hasn't had enough time to set. So I'm gonna set those. But this one has been gluing for enough, and it's, so the CRL calls for a hinged gauntlet, hinged on one side and then fastened on the other side. What's going on, Elvis? Fastened on the other side. So yeah, I went and got a 12-inch piano hinge and busted it in two to create the hinges for that. This piece will also have this back piece here with the tube that goes out of it. A hinge, I know it's new for me, man. So I had actually come up with a better way that actually kept it, you know, seamless, if you will. It was gonna be elastic and then just kind of duct taped on the center there. But the CRL calls for a hinge, so I had to put a hinge in. I'll make it work. I've got to add this piece here. That will be on the side here. And it'll have tube coming out from that, so there'll be 3 tubes, 2 from there and 1 from there on this arm, and then the other gauntlet also has some tubes coming out of it. I got a rocket launcher and a rocket, little pieces that I need to finish. Yeah, it's a very terrible requirement, dude. But hey, you know, you want to build it for them. And this is what I don't like about it, is this is based off of a character who never appeared in anything. This is all just from artwork. You don't need a hinge, you know. But I will build them as they tell me to build them. All right, so we got the vest here, and we had several pieces of Velcro already put on it. And then I just need one on the top here. I'm gonna need some on the back, but I kind of got to figure out where it goes for the back plate. But this piece is gonna be very simple across the top, and I'll probably do just one strip like that. Very, very simple. So what you up to today, Elvis? I see you've got a con in your future, which should be a lot of fun. I also see that you met the really hot Jedi. I don't know when that was. Ayla Secura. So you've got fun things happening in your life. Me, a whole lot of the same boring shit. A whole lot of the same boring shit. But hey, I've been, I recently got an affiliate code for a, and you'll like this being an older gentleman yourself. I got a affiliate code for a brain boosting tonic. It's called Alchemy Blend, and you basically just add it to your coffee in the morning, and it makes you stop forgetting shit like an old man. Which you may not be there yet. You know, I want to say it was around, like, somewhere around 48 is when I could kind of notice a difference in my memory and shit like that. So it's supposed to help with that. So that's fun. To any brands out there, I am 100% your pimp. Send me free shit. I'll talk it up. Focus factor. I'm telling you, dude. Back in our days, it was Geritol. That's how you knew you were old. It is our life. The other thing I'm going to do today, I want to trim up these. So these are the boot plates. That was the bottom half. So these are just Doc Martens, Chelsea's. I glued the snap piece on the end there so I could snap these on. And of course, as I say that, I pulled the snap piece off that I glued on there, so I'll have to glue that on again. But these snap on the sides. This side will actually stay on. See, that side stayed on. These snap on the sides. And then the top part sits right like that. And that's basically the same as Django. So that's Django's armor as well. This piece will attach to the flight suit, and then that piece attaches to that. Let me get that bottom part glued back down there. Snap problems, man. Snap problems. So I've been doing this with super glue, but I'm just gonna go ahead and bite the bullet and glue it down with E6000 because I know that'll hold it. It just takes forever for this shit to cure. I do find it to be much more reliable adhesive though. Put it down there, tape it down there, and it should stick pretty well. And just let that cure for a good 24 hours. And then hopefully that'll stick. But I'm gonna trim these up so they're a little bit better trimmed. See, the boots have those on them. The snap's already attached. These are just a little bit, you can kind of see, just want to straighten these out a bit. Oh, yeah, that's my daughter's skateboard. Yes, it is. Dude, I could never skate. My balance is not conducive to small rolling wheels. But yes, that's my daughter's skateboard. My daughter's back right now from college. Yeah, no, this is, it definitely sounds like it, and it smells even better, man. You're basically smelling burnt plastic while you do that. The Dremel. The Dremel. Enjoy it, dude. We work together. Elvis and I will work together. If you guys have not checked out Elvis's channel, The Brodalorian, absolutely go check him out. He's got some amazing build videos, content. The guy is much more of an artist than I am. Go check him out. One more. Sorry, exploring quirks. One more go. Just silence your camera for a little while. Much better. So yeah, these now are basically ready for primer and paint. Primer and paint, ready to go. These are pretty much already ready to go. Check that. Yeah. Those are already ready to go. So now, the only pieces I'm really waiting on, I think these are pretty much, I just got to rinse these off. The knee pieces, I've got metal darts that screw into these, ready to go. I got a little bit of Velcro to add to a couple pieces, and then I want to smooth this piece down because the gauntlets, again, this piece is going, I've got 2 toggle switches that I'll have to add to here, 1 and 2, and I'll have to figure that out. They don't have to work, but I'll have 2 little switches that come out there. We've got darts here that go in there. Again, this piece off the back here, and you get a tube that comes out of that, and then this piece is going to be on the side. It lines up right with that part, so it's going to be on the side right here like that, and tubes out the side back here. So I just need to finish this, kind of smooth this off so I can get some primer on it and then get it glued to that. And then there are some parts on here. Let's see, where was it? Right in here, you can see some kind of dribbles on the paint and the Bondo that I'm gonna have to sand down as well. Other than that, we're pretty much ready to go here. This is a 220 grit. I'm just sanding this down really to, this is a nice resin piece, so there's not like layer lines or anything. I just wanna smooth this resin out a little bit. No, I've not gotten hurt by the Dremel. Never cut myself, surprisingly. And it would be very simple to. Because I've got several, I use it as a cutting tool mainly, but that was a sanding tool that I was using. But there's a large blade that I use and I cut most of my stuff with. So surprisingly, I have not cut myself. Should probably wear gloves when I do it just in case, but I don't. I'll sand this off. This bottom part I need to actually get my mouse sander. Where the hell did I put my mouse sander? Yeah, it's always when you need the equipment, you can't find the equipment. I bet my wife took it. So the bottom part here I want to get sanded really good because that's what I'm going to glue up against the other piece. Now I have to add some Bondo and stuff to it. I want to get the majority of this stuff sanded before I get it glued on because it's much easier to do this here. Just like so. And I'm going to do it with a little bit of overlay, and that way when you close that down, it helps cover the seam. Because there's going to be a seam here no matter what I do. So that's my plan, is to line this up with that piece and just glue it right like that. So let's go ahead and get that glued on. Some tape. We will need it. Use some E6000 here. I'll glue it on there very well. I'm not going anywhere. And I love E6000 because you really have forever to work with it. You know, it takes like several hours to dry, to cure. So you can set this on here and kind of move it to exactly where you want it. And you got time to play around. Just rubbing this excess off next to the seam here. I don't want anything to interfere with how this closes. And then it's just a matter of making sure it's lined up good. And we're going to tape it down. Now I realize that you never did a backflip. Okay, now I feel like you're commenting on somebody else's video. But I have never done a backflip. I understand they're simple. Never even attempted one. I've done front flips. And that's how I do it. Just kind of tape it down to hold it in place. And I find painter's tape is the best to use for this, simply because it's not going to leave any marks. It's going to come off pretty easy. So sit that 24 hours or so. And we're one step closer to having a working gauntlet. And we'll add some Bondo here on the sides to fill in that seam. Paint this with the rest of it. Set that aside. Yeah, we're at this point now where we're just kind of doing a bunch of little things. A bunch of little things. So what am I making? Those are gauntlets for this guy. This is Kal Skirata. He is a Mandalorian commando, and those pieces I'm working on there are his gauntlets. So it goes on like this onto his suit. Onto his suit. And I've got like all the other armor pieces over here that I've been working on. Like the chest pieces. All go onto the flight suit. Shoulder pieces, so on and so forth. So this is a commission armor build for a friend of mine, and I'm working on the kind of final little pieces before I get everything painted and ready to go for him. Probably a couple weeks away from getting ready. Pretty much after every step, until you get through those final paint layers, sanding and rinsing each of these prints after each of these steps. I didn't know what these were. I thought it was a way to attach it, but then I realized these are actually the two buttons that go on the top of it. So I'm glad I didn't try to sand those off. Pay attention when you're building things, kids, especially when it comes with instructions. Yeah, 3D printing. So this is 3D printed. These parts are 3D printed. Much of these parts are. Much of this armor is vacuum formed. So all these pieces are either resin or 3D printed. For these little accessories, the gauntlets are 3D printed. The helmet is a resin cast, but this stuff is vacuum formed ABS plastic. So my clone armors that I do, a lot of the Mando armors that I've got are vacuum formed ABS plastic. It's a lot easier to work with. It's a lot more flexible. You can drop it, it's not going to crack. It's just, to me, a better product. It's lighter weight too. It's better products than 3D printed armor options. There's some things that I feel like 3D printeds are absolutely a better option, but if you can go vacuum formed plastic, it's just going to be better all around for you, I feel like. But know, if you get into prop making, this is your future. You will do sanding in whatever you do. I was going to make stickers. I think I actually got a logo for it that's Rage Against the Sanding. Kind of Rage Against the Machine logo, but Rage Against the Sanding. Because there's a lot of it. Although I actually find it therapeutic. And the better job, you do on all of these steps, the easier it gets at the end, and the better it's going to look at the end. You sand it smooth, it's going to look better as a printed or as a painted piece. Trying to find ways to sand these hard to reach and little detailed pieces. Sometimes they're a bitch. Is it that rough? I need that much sanding. No, I need this much sanding because I want it to be smooth, and I want it to look good. This is resin printed, so it's actually a whole lot smoother than a 3D print. Right now, I'm simply sanding down the filler primer that I put on it. You just want that to be, you want as little of it as possible on the final product, because it's only going to end up gooping up and making it look like it's a painted prop rather than a real missile, real piece of missile. So, what's up, Ike? Working on some gauntlets here, gauntlet accessories. That's the missile that goes on top of this gauntlet. These two pieces will be either, I'll probably cut those off, but yeah, basically that missile sits on top of there. This piece is a rocket launcher, it sits on the side of there. And that is what that gauntlet looks like all together. It's a hefty gauntlet. And there's gonna be tubes coming out of the side of the back here that basically connect to both the arm pieces. You can look him up online if you want to. Kal Skirata is the name of this Mandalorian commando. He was a buddy of Django's, and he helped train the Grand Army of the Republic. Now all these pieces are ready for paint. I'm just gonna rinse them off, and then we're ready to start painting on those. Although I do need to go get another can of probably 2 more cans of that base tan. Yeah, so you end up with stuff that kind of looks like this when all is said and done and it's sanded smooth. And it looks pretty. So let me show you, Ike, where we're at with the helmet, man. Very proud of this. Very, very happy with how this has turned out so far. I lost the visor, but check that out. Getting closer on those scratches. It's been in a fight. He has been in a fight. But yeah, very pleased. You know, I think that I've nailed this one. I may dirty it up a little bit more. I've got an example that I was also, there's a little piece that goes, a little round kind of smiley face. It almost looks like the pops right here that he forgot to give me. Cody forgot to give me, so he's sending that to me. So yeah, this guy's got a shit ton of weapons, man. I mean, it's a missile, a flamethrower. You know, on the two gauntlets, they're a bit chunkier than what I'd like to you know, see as gauntlets, but yeah. And back here, I've got to put some mesh underneath here, so it'll, you know, appear to be black, but it's a mesh. That was probably the hardest part, was cutting those out. Very pleased with my work there. Very pleased. So yeah, I just love that, the rub and buff, how the rub and buff comes through and kind of makes it look like that's metal underneath the black paint. This guy is badass. Very reminiscent of Boba. Very reminiscent of Django when you see the full armor. But overall a cool dude. Cool dude, cool armor. Sorry, that came out. I had the T-visor in there, but it was only taped in and it came out. All right, so I think that's about all I'm going to be doing for today. Let some of this stuff dry and then come back and work on it probably again tomorrow. But I hope y'all enjoyed it. We are getting closer. I don't know if I showed y'all the hinges. So we now have hinges in these. It calls for hinges. I would not have put hinges in here if it was my choice. But the CRL calls for a hinge there. So I want a hinge, I put a hinge in. But yeah, he's getting closer. This thing, I'll need to let this cure for a good 24 hours before I start messing around with it. Let these hinges, that last hinge cure, let the boots cure. And then we're getting on to some painting. So, looking good, feeling good. There we go. All right, y'all. Thank you for being here. If you enjoyed this, give me a subscribe. You'll probably like my other stuff. As always, I'm Darth Rage. This is Darth Rage Reviews, your source for the Force.